discovered that there was a cult of abortionists there in India. But they were also burning widows on their husbands' funeral pyres. They were also involved in female infanticide, which we still see today in Indian culture and Asian culture. She couldn't stand by. She had to change the culture around it. So, what happened? She ran right up against the British colonial policy of non-interference. British East India Tea Company wanted profits. Destabilized population and culture, no profits. So they wanted a stable society in which to reap the profits that they were reaping. And they didn't want missionaries coming in and upending the apple cart through their meddling in the affairs of culture. You know, we're meddlers. We're unashamed. That's exactly what we do. Well, the radical Hindus didn't take well to it, and they ended up killing her. Well, no, they appealed to Queen Victoria, and Anna was told to stop, and she said, no way. Rescuing innocent human life was directly related to her mission work, and that, in fact, it was directly related to any form of Christian endeavor, humanitarian or evangelistic. The mandate of Holy Writ is plain: we must clothe the naked, feed the hungry, shelter the shelterless, succor the infirm, and rescue the perishing. I can do no less and still be faithful to the high call of our sovereign Lord. And that's when she was killed. They came in, they raped the women that she had rescued, and they tortured and killed her. Well, the outcry back home in England was so great against the policy of non-interference that the British government capitulated worldwide. Wherever the British flag went, and the sun never set on the British Empire back then, wherever the British flag went, there went the gospel of Jesus Christ with this life-affirming respect for human dignity and human life that transformed culture and became a salt and light teaching, mobilizing to the church. And that her death certainly changed the British government from top down. Pope John Paul II, the human being is to be respected and treated as a person from the moment of conception, and therefore from that same moment his rights as a person must be recognized, not defined by government, recognized. We're not asking government to define who is and who is not a person. That's not government's job. Why? Because we have what's called an unalienable or inviolable right to life. God grants it. Government doesn't. Government should not be allowed to do what is not in their purview or their jurisdiction. Inviolable comes from God and therefore is important. Protestant mainline denominations, C.S. Lewis brought them into the fold with the Abolition of Man, his book on the abolition of man, Episcopalian, Anglican, and so forth. This is the gentleman that I studied under in Switzerland in 1973. And, you know, nobody needs an introduction here to who this is. Americans may feel justly proud that Germany in 1993 was able to recognize the sanctity of human life. You must weep that your own government at present seems blind to this truth. We have not been called to success. We have been called to faithfulness, is what she taught by her life and by her example. And I visited her in India, there in Mumbai, prior to her death. And this is the last one we'll just briefly touch on, is the pro-life history today. Anybody know Jack Wilkie personally? He's the founder of National Right to Life back in 1968 is when it first got cranked up. 72 and 73 is when it officially went national. He's a friend of mine, good friend. I had dinner with him and his wife. His wife died 9 months ago. They're all getting up there in age. What you don't know is that the national pro-life movement is up there in age. They have been in positions of power and authority for 40 years. And it's starting to change and pass the baton to the next generation. But those that are in the executive level leadership have not changed. They are the same and peers of Jack Wilkie from way back when. He stated the ultimate goal is a personhood amendment to the U.S. Constitution. That's the objective of the movement. In the first 8 years, eight of the first 10 years in National Right to Life, there was a National Right to Life single resolution every year to pass a personhood amendment at a federal level. That was the objective. Get on to it. Get going. This is where we're going. This is our objective. It's up here. Shoot for it. And he went on to say back in his famous book, Love Them Both, that understanding such a goal as a federal amendment remains yet in the future. Pro-life people have an intermediate goal, returning the right to make decisions about abortion to each individual state.